I'm Amna Hasnain, and I welcome you all to the Oxford Summer 2025 webinar. We have with us here, we have Lucy Aitchison from Oxford. She's the program director. She will be introducing the whole program to us. We have a past alumnus, Mohammad Sheikh. He has been to Oxford Summer Program, and he's going to tell us about his experience and motivate everybody to attend the summer 2025 Oxford experience. And we have Minahil and Alexa here. Minahil is a student of TNS Beacon House, and she's a very talented girl. I've heard her play the flute, and she's amazing. And we have Alexa. Alexa is going to join us from Philippines. She is a very, very good student, and she can tell us more about herself. And I think let's just give the mic to Lucy so she can start introducing the program to everybody.
Yeah, cool. Sounds great. So I'm assuming you guys can all hear me already. Yeah, all good. Perfect. So just kind of to give you guys an overview of how the session's going to go. So I'll be speaking for kind of 15 minutes or so, just a general overview of the camp and the program. And then I'll pass over to the panelists who will give you guys like an introduction. Mohammed will speak about his time at the camp and what he enjoyed. And then the panelists will ask some questions between each other. And then we'll open up the floor so anyone can kind of ask us questions. As always, my email address and details are on the Oxford Institute website, and they'll be circulated as well after this session. But if you do need any more clarification on any points, if you kind of think of questions that you didn't get a chance to ask after the session's finished, please do just reach out at any time, and I'm always happy to answer queries and that kind of thing. So just kind of, Anna's already introduced me to some extent, but I'm Lucy Aitchison. I graduated from Oxford last year with a degree in law, and I'm currently doing a master's in corporate and commercial law in London. I've worked with the Oxford Institute for 4 years. Initially, I was a junior dean, so kind of organising and running the activities, doing pastoral support and organising all the kind of day-to-day stuff for the students. And for the last year, I've been the program coordinator. So I now kind of work full time behind the scenes on kind of, yeah, all the behind the scenes activities and that kind of thing, which includes all the admissions. So if you are submitting an application or if you have submitted an application, you'll have heard back from me. And that onboarding process, I'll be organising that up until you arrive at the camp. So you'll be hearing a lot from me. So kind of without further ado, just to jump into things, I'm just going to introduce the Oxford Institute, tell you a little bit about ourselves. It's one of Oxford's oldest summer programme providers. We've been running for over 10 years, and we've been running in London, Cambridge and Oxford, as well as internationally, but we're primarily focusing on Oxford. It was founded initially by a group of Oxford students, alumni and professors. So everyone you meet during your stay, whether it's the junior deans, me, the organisers and your tutors, will all have been affiliated with Oxford in some way, whether that's as a student, a professor, or a postgrad student. And that in that way, we're able to provide a really, really authentic experience of what Oxford is like. I think that is something that sets us apart from other summer program providers and makes everything really special for you guys, and will prepare you for university, not just necessarily at Oxford or Cambridge or in the UK, but universities everywhere. It really gives you that kind of personalised introduction into university life. So why have we kind of focused on Oxford so specifically? Obviously, we've run programs in London and Cambridge in the past, but I really do think that Oxford is so unparalleled in the kind of service that we're able to provide. It's a wonderful city that's really hard to sum up in words, but I think it can kind of be attempted in 4 stages. So I think the Oxford ethos, when you arrive, is something that is just, you can feel it instantly. There's hundreds and hundreds of years of academic history. You'll see beautiful old buildings as you walk around, tributes to movies like Harry Potter and Willy Wonka, and hundreds of others that have been inspired by or filmed at Oxford or both. And I think this really kind of inspires you to pursue your academic interests in a really creative way. It's such a friendly city. It really has a small town vibe, but it's a major city, and it has all the benefits with very few drawbacks of both. The second part of Oxford that's just wonderful is the university itself. So it's run as 40 colleges that are completely separate. You're taught as the main university, but you live, you eat, you study, you're taught in tutorials within the colleges themselves. And they're sort of scattered around the university. So you kind of get real community feel of each small college tied together by the university name, which is a really, really nice feeling. The third is just the city itself. You've got, as I've mentioned, beautiful buildings, huge lush green spaces for activities, and also some of the best shopping and restaurants in the UK. And finally, just the activities that are available on offer in Oxford. You've got kind of the traditional activities that people love to do. You can have picnics in the parks, you can play rugby or football or cricket in the green spaces, great shopping, and there's beautiful coffee shops, bubble tea places, restaurants, lovely libraries, and just anything that you could want to do is just right there in the middle of a compact, walkable city. It's lovely. There's also the less traditional activities that are really specific to Oxford, like punting. I'm not going to speak too much on that because I imagine Mohammed's probably got some things to say about it. It does tend to be a favourite among the students. But essentially, it's kind of rowing a long boat using a long barge pole, and you kind of push yourself along using the pole against the bottom of the water. But all the students we find love that. The Oxford students go punting all the time. Normally, someone falls in, but so far so good in the last few years. But now I'm going to move on to kind of why our program specifically. Our program differs from any others in Oxford in a lot of ways. I think the two most important are the quality of our teaching staff and the class sizes. So as I mentioned, all of your tutors will be affiliated with the university in some way. So the camp itself is not affiliated with the university, but all the tutors will have attended as professors or students or as postgrad students in some capacity. And this means that they really are some of the best in their fields. And it's just the kind of academic excellence you just wouldn't get from kind of other programs in Oxford. And secondly, and most importantly, our class sizes. So other programs may teach in classes of 30 to 40 people, whereas ours will be 2 to 3 students with 1 professor. This is really typical of Oxford and Cambridge style tutorial systems. So that's exactly how you would be taught if you were at Oxford. And what it really means is you can have an interactive discussion with an expert in your field. And it's not necessarily structured as a lesson. You're not kind of sat trying to absorb as much information as possible. You're able to pick the specific part of the subject that you're interested in the most. And then kind of have a structured discussion where you learn more and you probe into the aspects of it that you really enjoy. And you're both kind of steering the conversation in a way that interests you. So it's far more personalized and really allows you to get that breadth of knowledge and to test your understanding of the subject in such a nice, enriching way. For example, if you enjoyed physics, you may be interested in particle theory, or you may be interested in space, or you may be interested in engineering. And in a huge class size, you wouldn't necessarily be able to explore that specific interest. But if there was 2 students to 1 professor, then you are able to kind of explore your interests as much as possible and to focus your understanding, your learning, and your development in that area, which is really, really useful for later on in interviews, applications, or just generally at school. So the main details, we'll be staying this year, as we have for the last 2 years, at St Anne's College in Oxford. So that's normal student accommodation. It's really, really nice. One of the best student accommodations. It has huge green space, really pretty architecture, and it's within walking distance from the city centre. Each student has their own ensuite that's really clean, really nice, lovely views. and you guys will have breakfast and dinner in the college just like students. And the breakfasts and dinners are really, really nice. And then on the final night that you're with us, you'll have a formal hall, which is where everybody gets dressed up, everybody attends a presentation, and you'll have what is normally a really, really tasty 3-course meal. And that's a really, really traditional thing that Oxford students do, and it's a really great thing for you guys to experience. So in terms of learning, I've kind of briefly touched upon the tutorial system. So that's like the specific area of the specific aspect of learning at the Oxford Institute. So you'll pick a major and a minor subject. You'll have 5 tutorials for each of your major and your minor subject. For your major subject, you'll then write an essay of somewhere between 12 to 1500 words in a topic that you choose that interests you. And this does sound really daunting at first, but because you've had such structured one-on-one time with your tutor, it feels much, much easier. They'll be able to help you to recommend any reading, and you'll also have your junior deans on hand at all times to help you with any drafting of essays and that kind of thing as well. With your minor subject, you won't have to write an assessment for it. You're just kind of there to learn, to absorb the information, and to just really enjoy getting to know kind of 2 aspects of different subjects. More generally, we offer lectures as well. So that's a really traditional university style form of teaching, if you're not already aware of it, where you'll have one professor who delivers a lecture to the entire cohort of students in a topic that they are an expert in. So in the past, that's been on space theory in physics or environmental economics, and loads of other things. They're always really interesting, and they just give the students the ability to look into areas that they may not have considered studying in the past. And they're really, really great for kind of enriching that wider depth of studying. The students really tend to enjoy them. And we offer, just on the major and minor subjects point, a huge list of subjects. I'm not going to list them all here because it would probably take me well beyond the remit of this webinar, but you'll be able to see the list on the website. If there is a subject that you would like to do that isn't listed there for some reason, do get in contact with me. If there's one thing we're not short of, it's academics who are learned in their subjects. So if there's any subject that you can't see on the list but that you're interested in, let me know and we'll try and bring in a tutor to be able to teach you that subject. So yeah, please do kind of get in contact close to the time. In addition, our residential deans also run essay counselling to help you with that final project. This will be delivered kind of as a lecture, but the residential deans are also there 24/7 to help you one-on-one with either picking the topic that you like, or with drafting the essay, or kind of learning how to draft a typical university style essay. The admissions counselling will be for predominantly UK, US, or Canadian universities. So we'll give you kind of brief overviews on how to prepare for psychometric tests like the LNAT for law or the MCAT for medical school, and then a range of others. It'll also help you with interview prep for Oxford and Cambridge and for US unis, and then also drafting personal statements, which is a really important part of the application process for UK uni. So they'll take you through that step by step, and they'll be available with helping you to prepare for them, not only during that lecture, but throughout the camp and then beyond the camp as well. I know I've looked over quite a few personal statements for applications to universities. I'm always happy to do that and happy to help. So we're able to provide that ongoing support after the camp itself. Another aspect of the education is debating. Oxford has an intense and rich history of debating from the Oxford Union Debating Chamber. So, I mean, in the past, we've had huge prestigious speakers such as Barack Obama, Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, Einstein, and Benazir Bhutto. She was a president of the Oxford Union. It's such a prestigious place, and you guys will be able to be taught by a former president of the Oxford Union, which is usually Ahmed Nawaz. He'll come in, he'll teach you guys, and you'll be able to deliver a final debate in the Grand Chamber of the Oxford Union, which is one of the oldest debating chambers in the world. In terms of the more kind of fun side of things, we offer tours of the Science Museum, the Art Museum, and the History Museum, as well as various other colleges to give you guys a real feel of Oxford. And then in the evenings, we also offer movie nights, games nights, sports days, and loads of other activities. Again, because we have a small cohort, if there's something that you're particularly interested in around Oxford, we'll be able to arrange a specific tour for you or for you in a small group, and we'll be able to take you to those places. You also have a lot of free time to be able to explore the city by yourselves, and you really do get that kind of freedom that you would have if you were a student at the university itself, which is always really exciting. On the first Saturday of the summer programme, we also offer a tour of London. So everyone will go on the coach together to London, have a walking tour of all of the huge tourist spots, so the London Eye and the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, all of that. And then you guys will have free time to see some other tourist attractions that you'd like to see, or to pick up souvenirs, which tends to be what students do. As I've said, we also run sports days and various tours. And again, the best activity, I think, is punting, which is where you weave through the rivers that run through the centre of Oxford in your big long boats, which people tend to really enjoy. After the camp itself, once the camp is over, we're able to offer ongoing support. So you'll be able to contact your deans, and they'll always be happy to help with either admissions counselling or giving you some advice on maybe which universities to look into, which colleges to apply to if you do choose to apply to Oxford or Cambridge. And we also offer webinars for our past students to meet each other, to see each other again, and to generally update each other on their lives. Our students have gone on to achieve really, really great things. And I think there's been a couple of occasions where people have gone to university and maybe not known anyone and realised that they've been at one of our summer camps with somebody else. And it's just a nice, friendly face to have when they get to their new place. And it's and given that all of you guys who join us are really driven, you do often end up in the same and similar places. And it's lovely to have that connection with people from various places around the globe. With regard to the application process, which is kind of the final pit stop of my point of discussion before I hand over to Minahil and Mohammed. So after this, we'll circulate the application form. It should also be available where you signed up to join the webinar. Essentially, it is just step by step, just go through your personal details, and then there will be a 500 words, why do you think you're suitable for this programme? That's just a little bit about you, and that just is for us to ensure that we're able to provide the best, most enriching experience that we can for you guys, and to make sure that we have a cohort of really strong academic-minded students to really maximise what we can produce with the programme and our limited cohort sizes. If you have any worries or questions with regard to that, again, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to run you through kind of the application process, but it's really, really simple. Don't worry too much about that 500 word question. Normally we can see very quickly that you guys are bright and wonderful and ready for the programme. But that's kind of all I've got on the subject. And if I could pass over to Minahil and Mohammed. Should we start with Mohammed?
Yes, Mohammed's just coming back. He's gone to a better place with for better internet. So Minahil can introduce herself, and we'd like Alexa to also introduce herself. So both of you, Minahil, let's start.
Hello everyone, my name is Minahil Latif and I'm 15 years old. I'm in grade 10 at TNS Beacon House, where I study biology, chemistry, and physics as my core subjects. Outside of academics, I'm dedicated to swimming, which keeps me disciplined and focused. And I enjoy playing the flute, an activity that has taught me patience and creativity. Last year, I had an incredible opportunity to perform my flute at TEDx RLKU. I also lead a project called Rahe Roshni for underprivileged children of Lahore. It's a for students by students initiative where we focus on subjects beyond school subjects, such as cleanliness, environmental awareness, and civic sense. We teach them valuable lessons such as standing in line, not interrupting each other, and saying please or thank you. Thank you for your time. I'm excited to bring my experiences and learn even more through the opportunities offered by the Oxford Summer Program. Thank you.
Thank you, Minahil. Alexa, can you share a bit about yourself?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I'm Alexa, and I'm from the Philippines, and I am 16 years old in grade 11. I go to the British School Manila, and my higher level subjects involve a lot of business management. So I'm very interested in those topics. One of my proudest achievements is actually my small business that I started in 2020 during the pandemic called Bake by Alexa. So it's kind of like a home baking business that I do, and I also like to integrate it with a lot of service work. So I'm also very into helping a lot of the I think my audience is mostly like PWDs and like um we have this like after school activity that I started. It's called Bake It Forward, and I've started it with two of my friends, and we teach baking lessons to underprivileged people and also single mothers. And I like to like integrate my hobbies with a lot of things that I do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Thank you.
You
So
guys
I think
Yeah, just wanted to say that is super impressive of you guys. I mean, it sounds like you've already achieved so much. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in 2025. Do you guys, is Mohammed back or should
I
we?
don't think so. Yeah, he's not back yet.
Okay.
Let's just give him 2 minutes. Yeah, let's just give him a couple of minutes. But girls, you can ask questions. You can ask Lucy about Minahil. I thought you had a few questions for Lucy.
I wanted to ask, what are the benefits of the Oxford Summer Program?
I think we've got both short-term and long-term benefits. I think the short-term benefits are just that ability to really integrate and understand more about your subject in the specific parts of that subject that you enjoy. I think the thing about a school curriculum is that it's just very one size fits all, whereas with this, you really get to push the areas of a subject that you really, really enjoy and deepen your understanding in that subject, which is useful kind of for you in the short term, but also in the long term, it gives you something that you've prepared in terms of the essay to be able to use in future applications. It will really set you apart on your CV when you're applying to universities or to jobs in future, and show that you really have that academic passion, which most universities are really looking for when they consider university applications. So in the short term, you've got just that knowledge gain and the ability to maybe push yourself further forward in school in the short term for exams, and in the long term to really set yourself apart in interviews, both for jobs and for university. From kind of a long term perspective as well, you have that those connections with people that will be useful throughout your later life. I'm sure you'll come into contact with alumni from the camp again and again. And you'll also have access to that ongoing support from your tutors, from your residential deans, and from the other staff of the Oxford Union as well, or Oxford Institute.
What is the structure of a class and how interactive are these sessions?
The tutorials, they're really, really interactive. You'll have between 1 and 3 students per tutor. Sometimes it's 1 if you're in a kind of a niche subject, sometimes it's 3. And it's very much structured as a discussion. So, for example, with law, the tutor might start off with a criminal problem or a problem where you have a really high incidence of crime, and how might you solve that? And then someone would come back with a way to solve that crime, and the tutor would then kind of find weaknesses in that or apply it to new situations and see whether it holds up. And it tests both your kind of way of thinking and also the depth of your thinking as well, and the depth of your knowledge within your subject. They're super interactive. It is just a long discussion essentially. It's really engaging, and you do find that the discussion just flies by, but they're about as interactive as a lesson can be, really. There's a lot more kind of it's definitely a two-way conversation as opposed to kind of just sitting and trying to absorb as much information as you can.
Yes, so Mohammed is back. Mohammed, can you share your experience at Oxford? And I believe Mohammed has some pictures to share with us as well.
Hi everyone, I hope you guys can hear me well and clear. My name is Mohammad Sheikh and I'm studying in Eastern College, Lahore, and I'm currently in my A levels. So I attended the Oxford Summer College program in the summer of 2023, and I remember when I first came with my mom, I met Miss Lucy, and she handed me the key to my room, and I was almost shivering to go into my room, and I was like, I'm going to be here alone for 2 weeks, and it's going to be really scary, but actually, it was actually one of the best experiences of my life, and I wish I could go back. So to start with Oxford, it was everything. So it was like a movie, like a fever dream. Like along with academics, I wrote a research paper on U.S. and China military conflict, it's been going on for the past 20 years. And I had my major as law and my minor as international relations, and my teacher was Dr. Israr Khan, who is president of the Oxford Union right now, which is really cool. And he was actually my professor, and he taught us law. And how Miss Lucy said, it was a class consisting of almost 2 to 3 students only, which was actually really cool. Even with Professor Benjamin, who was my international relations professor, the class only consisted of about 4 to 5 students, which was actually pretty unique because even in my school, at least they're children with 30 to 40 children studying, and no one can hear each other, and it's all almost so chaotic. So, which was actually very unique and was the first time I had ever experienced something like this. So, talking about the research paper, I would say that it is very detailed, and it did take us about 4 to 5 days to actually come up with the idea, answer the questions, plan the arguments, and actually write the whole thing. Of course, we had free time, and it was a lot easier when we had friends in our room sitting with each other, having snacks, having something to drink, and then writing the paper together. But it was actually a unique experience, something to bond with, even though we had different subjects. Like there were so many subjects, like there was every subject imaginable offered in the program, which was amazing. But law, as we know, Oxford is one of the best and top rated colleges for law. So it was actually filled. We had 6 to 7 students in our law class. But I changed my major and I wrote my paper on international relations. So as I wrote my paper, it really taught me how to actually construct essays and how to actually write essays, because now I've been really into essays, and I've been writing research papers and publishing them in Pakistani newspapers and even in international journals, which Oxford actually helped me to do. I won SBI, which is Future Problem Solving International Skills. It was an essay writing competition, which I would say Oxford helped me actually win it, and I came second in Pakistan, which was very cool, and it was a new experience for me. Of course, with our essays, the Oxford essays, we could publish it as well, but I did not go with that route. But of course, the essays we write in Oxford, we can publish them as well, and we can publish them to many journals like International Journal of High School Research. We can do it in CurieX. We can do it in the Stanford Research. There are a lot of places where you could actually publish this. And I remember there's Miss Nazish Gulzar. I don't know if Lucy, if she's still there, but she actually was amazing. She was like, we've been getting so many Pakistanis, and this batch which came right now was actually amazing. And they got this batch from Ion Ivy, which is actually really cool. And along with this was the academic part, but the fun part of Oxford was the friends, the memories. So I just went to the USA, and I actually met one of my friends, which I had in Oxford. His name was Laith, which was actually amazing because I hadn't met him over a year, and I hadn't talked to him. But then I told him I'm in the USA and I meet you, and he was like, "Yes, sure." So that was amazing. That was amazing as well because I remember on the last day, I know it sounds cliche, like, oh my God, you guys are gonna cry, there are gonna be tears. But I am for real, there were tears. There were tears every single in every eye. Like I was almost tearing up. I was like, oh my God, I am never going to see you guys again. Of course it's a 2 week course. Like what memories can you make? But it was actually the best experience I think of my life. Now I would give the mic to Miss Amna or Minahil to continue.
Minahil, you have any questions?
Yes, my first question is how did you choose your subjects?
Well, first, I've always been fascinated with international relations or international law, how countries communicate with each other or interact with each other. But the biggest reason why I chose these subjects was because my mom is a politician, so seeing videos of her in the court and passing resolutions and bills actually, pushed me towards actually choosing international relations and law. And I had been taking many internships before of international law, something like RSIL, Research Society of International Law, which I took right before this program actually prompted me more towards this. That is how I chose my subjects. And when I took law as a major, the main reason was, as I told you before, was as Oxford is one of the most prestigious universities for law, and getting experienced faculty like Israr Khan, who is currently the professor of the Oxford Union, was an amazing experience for me.
My second
Alexa?
question is, can I just ask my second question?
Yeah, sure.
How do you write your research paper and how long did it take?
How did I write my research paper? So I wrote my research paper. First of all, I asked my professor. He really helped me a lot. He actually he held my hand the whole way of writing this research essay because I was 15 at the time, 15 or 16, and I had no idea how to go with this. There were new terms for me. There were abstracts. There were how to list citations. It was very all new to me. But my professor actually helped me the whole way. He sent me a whole PDF about how to write an Oxford essay, which I used throughout the whole way. And how long did it take? It did not take that long. He told us a week before, or we knew at the second day we had to write an essay. But when it came to making the question and actually going through with writing the essay, that actually took about 4 to 5 days, including the planning.
My question is, how would the summer program help in like applying for different universities around the UK, like maybe Oxford as well, for example?
That is an amazing question. So first of all, I think once you do the Oxford program, the main thing is, as our teachers also told us, you could get a letter of recommendation, and that would be pretty amazing if someone like Sir Israr Khan or even Miss Nazish Gulzar would write you a recommendation letter, and if you're good at the program and if you've actually achieved amazing and more the best from other students, as we know Oxford is a university which needs the best, and if we have achieved the best in the program with our presentation and with our essay and with our behavior, that recommendation letter would actually help a lot with applying further in Oxford.
Actually, we had a student, Zaina Ehsan, who attended Oxford in 2022. She has been given admission into Oxford this year. So, yes, we hope to see all three of you in Oxford one day, very soon. So, Minahil?
I wanted to ask Lucy a question. What opportunities are there for students to present their research ideas or projects or talents during the program?
That's a wonderful question. It's actually let me pick up on something that I didn't mention earlier. So after you write your essay, you also deliver a presentation on your essay to the rest of the students in the cohort. So that can either be about the process of writing the essay or something else that you found really interesting while you wrote your essay, or a presentation on the content of the essay itself. And it means that you can kind of share your passion for that subject with others, and you can kind of showcase some of the extra skills that you've learned during debating as well. You'll have that opportunity to present your research and your findings to the other students in the cohort. And then in the actual essay that you write yourself, you'll receive feedback and a grade. And then that's obviously shareable with whoever you would like after that program. But the essay itself is also something that you could take, as Mohammed mentioned, to other journals, undergraduate journals, or high school journals, and you'd be able to then share that research with people by publishing it elsewhere as well. Do you have any more questions for me or Mohammed?
No, that's all. Thank you.
No worries. Alexa, do you have any questions?
I think I'm one more. Do you have like advice or like any kind of like advice on how to stand out for like our essay among the others, I guess?
Mohammed, do you want to answer the question first, and then I'll pick up afterwards? What was your advice with your essay? What would you say that you learned?
So my advice, could you please repeat your question, Alexa?
I was wondering if you could give like any advice on how to make our essays stand out the most, or how to like perfect them, I guess.
Well, that is a great question again. So first, when I wrote my essay, I thought it was the best essay ever. Like no one could write a better essay. But once I got the feedback from Professor Benjamin, it actually helped me a lot, because there was a small grade system as well of our efforts, or our ideas, or our questions. It was graded from 1 to 5, or our confidence even. It was graded from 1 to 5. So if there is confidence in your essay, if you have actually expressed your ideas correctly, I think that would really help to make a really good essay and to help it stand out. And that you need to have, my professor told me that you need to flow your points, so don't stop, just continue with your points, don't add extra points which are not making sense with the ones you've added before. And also, don't make your essay too chopped up as well. Don't make so many paragraphs. Make at least 4 to 5 paragraphs, which you need. Don't go into making 8, 9 paragraphs. That's what my professor told me as well. And he told me actually make good citations and good references. So if you actually used other websites for information you did not know, actually refer them correctly, and please refer them. So that's what my professor told me. So that's what would make a really good essay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed. And yeah, I would like to reiterate Mohammed's points as well. So kind of maintaining the flow of the paragraphs, using a few well-developed paragraphs, and then also citing and referencing. I think a huge thing that the students find when they arrive is that these essays are being graded on a university level. And the university style of writing an essay is much different to something that you may be used to in high school or IB or A-level or O-levels, in the sense that you normally in a high school essay will write kind of, say you got given kind of an argument essay, you may write one paragraph for, one paragraph against, one paragraph for, one paragraph against, and a conclusion. This isn't really the kind of thing that you do at university. What you tend to do is you'll be asked a question, you pick a stance on that question. So say, for example, kind of using criminal law as an example, should murder have a mandatory life sentence? You don't say, oh, it should because, it shouldn't because, it should because, it shouldn't because, and then conclude. It needs to be obvious from the outset what you're going to argue. So yes, it should have a mandatory life sentence. Here are 3 reasons why. Here are some weaknesses in my own argument that I'm able to pick out. And here's me addressing the weaknesses in my argument and then concluding. You should be able to tell from your introduction your exact stance on the question, and how you're going to answer the question, and then your line of argument should be evident throughout. It should be able to be read across the essay as a whole. You shouldn't be left until the last minute, as a reader, trying to decide whether the essay writer is going to land for or against the question that's been asked. Yeah, the stance should be pretty apparent from the outset. I think that's a huge difference that people find when they come to university essays, is just having that one consistent voice throughout rather than being able to argue both sides. No worries. What I will say as well is you'll have much more in-depth discussions about this in the lecture. It's an hour and a half long, and they'll go through points really specifically for science essays, for humanities essays, because obviously the structure of those will differ. That was, I mean, largely for humanities essays, that advice, but you will get advice tailored to your specific subject as well, in the academic advice sessions. Do we have any more questions from anybody?
We actually have a lot of questions from people in the audience.
Great.
So can we open that for everybody? I think it's open now. Chat is open. So we have Maya Chaudhary. Maya Chaudhary, you can ask your question. Open your mic. Rima, can you please allow Maya Chaudhary to speak? Question is, hi, I'm Maya Chaudhary from Pakistan. Can students from grade 6 also join this program?
How old would grade 6 be?
11 or 12, I guess.
I think we do have a cutoff just to make sure that we're able to provide kind of that kind of higher level, closer to university education. And I think that may well be 11 or 12 would be too young for that. I think we're looking kind of at 14 being the minimum age for this year, unfortunately. But please, like, kind of maintain the kind of passion for joining us later on, and we'd be more than happy to admit kind of 11 or 12-year-olds in a couple of years' time when they're 14.
Hi, Miss Lucy. I also had a question. So, we all had a group chat on WhatsApp, including our deans as well, which was, I think, Miss Helena and Miss Jonathan, which are actually the coolest deans. Like, my only 2 deans, but they're actually really cool. So, and Miss Najas in the group chat as well. So they keep sending us different programs Oxford is conducting, and even this one in China. If you're aware of that, something with the teacher associates going with China. So could you please elaborate more on programs in China?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more focused on the Oxford programme, but I'm able to give kind of a brief overview on the China programme. So that is running in China from the beginning of August. It runs for a similar amount of time. The focus is much less kind of typical academics. So you're not going to get kind of the subjects like maths or statistics or economics. It's more based on learned skills and skills that can help you kind of in your day-to-day life, and things. So that would involve kind of critical thinking, design thinking, a whole range of other subjects, public speaking, that kind of are these soft skills that really help people move on in their careers and beyond. And you're still taught by Oxford academics and students, and you'll be accompanied throughout. You'll be able to travel to 2 different areas of China. You'll stay in the school, and it's just kind of another way of learning and another way of advancing your own skills in a completely different setting and being able to travel while you do it. So it's a slightly different focus, it obviously being the soft skills as opposed to the more traditional academic skills, but definitely worth looking into as well. Feel free to ask Amna about that, because she knows about that as well, and she can help you to complete the application form for that as well.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Quickly as well, we have a brochure that's on our website. So it's the Oxford Institute Summer Programme. If you just Google that, scroll to the bottom, then we have the Oxford Institute Summer Programme brochure, which is what I've spoken about today. We also have the China brochure as well. So you'll be able to see all the activities that are on offer, the different subjects and the tutors that will be out there teaching as well. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Here we go. What kind of academic or career guidance is provided? Great question. So in terms of academic guidance, I'm assuming this kind of means for universities and beyond, or perhaps maybe for choosing subjects for A-levels. I think in terms of support, I mean, being able to understand where your passions lie with the range of different subjects is really useful, and it means that you'll be able to kind of explore these before you commit to anything in terms of choosing your A-level subjects or choosing the subject that you'd like to study at university. But I think the main bit of support and guidance that's provided is all of the people that you'll meet will have gone through the process of applying for unis, of selecting their subjects themselves. And they'll be able to give you kind of points and reasons why they chose the subjects that they did, the process that they went through to select those. And that will primarily be the residential deans providing that kind of support. So they'll be free 24/7. You can ask them and they'll be more than happy to provide that guidance and that support. You're more than welcome to ask your tutors and they'll be able to help you decide what subject's right for you or what university is right for you. We have no end of resources that are available to you guys when you're at the camp, and they'll provide support on kind of choosing subjects or choosing universities or various other things. In terms of career guidance, a lot of our deans are kind of my age and above. So a lot of them have started thinking about their careers or started with their applications to careers. They'll have gone through a whole load of various subjects and different considerations, and they'll be able to provide you with that career advice and guidance as well. I hope that kind of answers your question, but obviously chuck something in the chat if there's something that I haven't added that's kind of more specifically focused. With regard to scholarships or financial aid, unfortunately we don't offer scholarships or financial aid for the programme. Our camp is one of the cheaper in Oxford, and we provide the best value that we possibly can. So unfortunately, just with the budget that we have, we're not able to provide scholarships or financial aid. But the value for money that you get in terms of the support you get while you're at the camp and the continuing support you'll have throughout, both in terms of networking and in terms of advice with your future applications, is really, really part of that price tag, and it is really, really valuable for your future, as I'm sure Mohammed would attest to. And then obviously that kind of answers the next question, which is, are scholarships merit-based, need-based, or both? Again, unfortunately, as we're not able to offer scholarships, they would be neither kind of merit-based or needs-based. Does anybody else have any further questions they'd like to ask, either me or Mohammed? Or okay, so we've got another one. So what is the application timeline and process for the Oxford summer programmes? So in terms of applications, we operate on a first come first served basis. We review applications and we make sure they're of a high standard, and then your place is secured upon payment of the deposit. So what I would say with regard to applications is to make sure that you're not disappointed, because we do have that limited cohort size. I would apply and secure your spot as soon as you possibly can, just to make sure that you're able to join us. I think particularly for students who haven't travelled to the UK before as well, you'd want to get your application in as soon as you possibly can, because that means that we're able then to support you slightly more, and you have that longer time then to prepare your visa applications, to make sure that you don't end up kind of missing out because of visas taking a long time to process. So definitely time is of the essence. Get your applications in as soon as you can. You'll receive a response very, very quickly about whether your application was successful or not. And from that point, you'll be able to pay the deposit. And then beyond that point, then you'll pay either in installments or you'll pay the remainder of the price as a lump sum. And then we'll keep you updated. We'll keep in contact with you throughout until the program then begins. And then, so for the next question is, for international students, after paying, what is the process of confirming a seat and getting visa sponsorship? So for our students, we'll send you an offer letter. I'm sure, Alexa, you've seen this. So in the offer letter, you'll essentially have like a congratulations, you've been successful. And then what we require is a payment of the deposit within kind of 10 days of receiving that offer letter. And that will then secure your space. And then after that, you can pay kind of prior to the deadline in installments or whatever works best for you. And then in terms of getting visa sponsorship, great question. Again, if you've never been to the UK before, predominantly, I think getting a visa for students for these kind of purposes does seem to be fairly easy. The biggest issue that we have is students not filing the paperwork correctly. So what we would recommend is that you have kind of professional support. We have some support staff in Lahore, I believe. We've got the contact details for him that will circulate shortly. I think that would be really useful to kind of go through that, make sure that your paperwork is all completely perfectly filed and in order. And from that point onwards, it does tend to be a pretty easy journey to get that visa sponsorship, especially if you're visiting for student purposes, which you guys will be.
Excuse me, I'm also a student. I wanted to ask you guys, how much is the overall cost of this entire program?
So the program is £5,999 for the 2 weeks. That covers once you land in the UK. So you guys are responsible for the flights, but once you land in the UK, that covers the taxi from Heathrow Airport to your Oxford accommodation. It covers all of your accommodation while you're there. It covers all your food, all your activities. You wouldn't need to bring any extra money aside from if you wanted to buy souvenirs or maybe do some activities in your free time. But the amount you'd actually spend while you're there is very, very minimal. That £5,999 covers absolutely everything while you're at the camp.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
We have another question. It's an interesting question. Is Oxford Summer School valuable for someone who aims for a US university?
I would say that it is really, really valuable, even for US universities. I think what we offer is so specifically tailored and is what universities tend to look for is just a demonstration of your passion for a subject. Often with US universities, what they're looking for is excellence in a given field. And the fact that you've maybe written a really, really highly rated kind of university style question at a young age, and you've demonstrated that from kind of, I don't know, somewhere between kind of 14 and 18, that you've already got that passion for a subject and you're able to deliver a really, really professional looking graduate type of essay is something that really, really demonstrates passion for that subject, and that's what they're looking for. So as on top of that, a lot of US unis require kind of written statements for applications. The guidance that we provide will be useful not only for writing those applications themselves, but also for kind of teaching you to write in a way that would be really interesting to the people who are reviewing your application, whether that is for UK unis or US unis. So I think just in your manner of expressing yourself, in your ability to demonstrate your passion for any subject, and in your ability to kind of express yourself in written speech is all incredibly valuable, regardless of whether you apply to universities in the UK or the US. Oxford is also a huge name anywhere in the world. So going to a US uni with kind of an Oxford University summer program or Oxford University affiliated summer program on your CV is something that's really, really, really valuable regardless. I've got another question here. What Oxford email to send proof of payment to? So that would be info@theoxfordinstitute.co.uk. That I would suggest that you send that to. That'll then come through to me. What would be great is if you guys then, when you guys submit your deposits, if you could just put your reference number in the tagline, if that's at all possible. It just helps us to be able to confirm that that's you. And then if, for example, the proof of payment doesn't get sent, we're able to link that payment back to you. That reference number is super easy to find. It will be in the head note of your offer letter that you'll receive. But
Actually,
yeah,
that question's from Ira Khalid. She's already paid her deposit.
perfect.
So that's why she's asking.
That's great. If you could message info@theoxfordinstitute.co.uk with that proof of payment, then I'll see that and I'll be able to put it into our spreadsheet and just know that you've paid. But yeah, really glad that you have, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in 2025. Thanks, Sarah.
So, there's another question. What support is provided for students who may be struggling with certain aspects of their studies?
That's a really great question. We're able to offer a lot of support. So we have obviously tutors. Our tutorial style teaching system means that if, for example, a student is super ahead in one area, or maybe you're struggling a little bit with another area, they're able to provide that one-on-one support over the period of 5 hours and really help to identify a specific weakness. It's essentially like having a tutor for the period of the Oxford Institute summer programme. And you'll also be able to get any advice that you need as well from the residential deans at the same time. So because of that small cohort size and the experience of your tutors, they'll be able to help you to develop those skills that you may feel are lacking or that you would really like to improve upon while you're at the Oxford Summer Programme. And that's kind of the benefit of being able to further your education at a smaller summer programme as opposed to kind of trying to catch up if you're at school or somewhere which will have much larger class sizes. Do we have anything else? Have I missed any questions?
I think that's about it. And 1 hour is also up. So,
Timing. In that case, if it's okay just to kind of round off and then I'll pass it back to Amna. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Alexa, to Minahil and to Mohammed, and also to Amna for organising this. You guys have all been amazing. And I'm so glad that so many of you guys gave up your Saturday evening to come and present, and all of you guys watching as well. Thanks so much for giving up your Saturday to come and see it. And I really hope that you guys are excited about the summer programme and look forward to seeing you all in 2025. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lucy, for coming, for your time, and for guiding everybody so well. And I'm sure Alexa and Minahil are really looking forward, and Ira is also here. We have 3 girls joining you this summer. We're hoping more kids who are interested will be joining. And Mohammed is a source of inspiration for everybody because he explained very well his experience, and it's amazing to hear all the things he's done after Oxford. How Oxford inspired him to become a writer, and now he's a published author. So that's amazing. You made good use of the summer program that you attended. So I think that's it. We'll wrap up now.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks, Amna.
Okay, bye.
Bye.